Hello everyone, this is Venkat. Welcome to Venkat's Tech Talk. Hope you all know that C Sharp version 8 beta is released and it's available for general public to download and try it out. So this presentation is all about to look at the new C Sharp 8 features and to create some few programs experimenting those new features. Okay, this is going to be a code walkthrough and explaining about the features. Okay, so basically, C Sharp 8 is in beta state. It couple of other things also released at this time, like Visual Studio 2019 preview and C Sharp 8 and .NET Core 3.0 release. Everything is in pre-release beta stage, not a final version. So we are going to look at the features that are available as part of C Sharp 8 and what are all released features and what are all in the proposed features that we may expect in the final version of 8. Okay, so this is the list of features: nullable reference type, async stream, range and indices, and interface with the default implementation, a recursive pattern which is an extension to the basic pattern features introduced in C Sharp 7, and a switch expression, targeted type new expression. Let us hold on. I'm going to explain what each feature is about and what exact problem it is trying to solve, or what new feature we are going to see, and the benefits and everything in detail. So this is the list of the features. We will see what exactly each of them mean in the upcoming slides and in the hands-on demo. Okay. So before that, if you're really interested in knowing about how the C Sharp language design process works, because we are talking about a new version 8, so how this 8 comes out, like what is the background behind that one, how these features are decided to make into a specific version of a language, and where the source code of this language is holding. If you are interested on all these things, this slide is for you. So basically, this entire language design is open sourced, means like you can see it in GitHub. So a community who are interested in language, who has good idea about what they are expecting in a language, to have some new features in a language, everything goes into the design process, which is completely outsourced in GitHub. So if you got any interesting idea that you want to have it in the C Sharp language, you can actively contribute to it and you can present your ideas in the GitHub forum, and there are some extension to it, like LDM, which is the key component of this whole process, which they short shortly call it as an LDM, which is language design meetings, and where they frequently discuss about what feature they want to make it and the timeline and when they want to achieve and what is the branch, and whether they accept a specific feature to try as a prototype, or and all these kind of design discussion happens here. And everything is very transparent. If you can go and engage yourself to look at what design meeting is happening or what's going to happen when it's happening, and what all the design decisions made, and all those things, or everything is transparent and you can see it in the GitHub location mentioned here. Okay, and apart from these language design and design meeting, we have source code also as an open source language. C Sharp language source code is available in at Roslyn repository, where you can find code analyzer, compiler, and C Sharp language features, everything there. So if you want to really understand how a specific language feature is developed, uh, if you have a lot of curiosity to learn, this is the place. You can go ahead and look at the branch, because it is very well organized. Every new feature that I have explained in the first couple of slides before, every feature is in a separate branch. So you can go ahead and look at the from the very beginning of the branch to the latest branch to see like how it unfolds and how it is developed. And if you want to engage, you can engage in the development process to to put your contribution. So this is just an FYI if you are more interested about the language design process to understand how it works. Okay, so just I'm going to show the site. So look at here, it's a GitHub. This is the GitHub C Sharp language repo. This is where, this is not the source code repo, this is the repo where they have all the information. For example, the key thing is these meetings and the proposals and everything. So you can take a look at what is there. So here, so yeah, you can see in the same repo C# language design and what are all the features they were, and you can find the location of what is the proposal folder, meeting folder, and you can look at those folders to understand what's going on. And design process. Okay, yep. And you look at, so this is what I explained. C# meetings, LDM, design meetings. You will see all the meetings and everything organized as the folders for all years. If you want to go back historically to find out how the decision unfolds, you can look at these folders to find out how what's the decision made and what proposals are in pipeline and what is being actively developed and everything. Okay, so let us move forward to the actual repository. If you see, this is a Roslyn repository, and I'm showing the page where it is a language feature status page. This is the page if you want to interested in looking at what features are available and what is the state of each feature for the specific version. So if you look at this section, you see these are all the listed feature for C# version 8. Default interface method, nullable reference type, recursive pattern, async streams, and every feature is listed here, and each feature is maintained in a separate branch. So if you are interested in knowing how this specific feature is implemented, you will learn a lot of technical implementation details by looking into these branches, and you can see the state of each feature, like what's its stage, current stage. It's in prototype stage. So if it is in prototype stage, it's not yet made to the beta release, and if you see merged status, it indicates it's already part of preview. Okay, so and so these key information you can find it here, and I'm just showing a couple of pages, but you feel free to explore this page to understand more. So these are all the list of features. Okay, so all of them may make into C# 8 final version, or some key features, potential feature will make, and rest may go into the next release. All depends on how all these individual features are being developed and tested, and how confident the output looks for these features determine whether they make it or not make this specific version of the release. Okay, so okay, how to get C# 8 for our experiment. So C# 8 is packed with 2000 Visual Studio 2019 preview 1. Visual Studio 2019 preview is also out, and I have also read that it is possible even with Visual Studio 2017 with the most recent update and versions. I tried out, I was not successful in completely setting up an C# version 8 in 2017, and moreover I prefer to test this in isolation without disturbing my existing development environment. So I used 2019 to test these features. So you can download 2019 preview release from Visual Studio website uh, from here. And also there is another option, if you don't want to download and try, and if you have an Azure subscription, there is a template which has an Visual Studio 2019 pre-configured along with Windows 10 or Windows 2016 OS. Just you can go to your subscription and find that template and just spin it up. You will get an VM already pre-configured with installation of 2019 Visual Studio Preview. So so that is an best approach if you have already an Azure subscription with you. Okay, so once you have Visual Studio 2019, you can enable C# 8 by going into one second. Yeah, So you can download Visual Studio 2019 preview, or you can use Azure subscription. And once you have Visual Studio 2019, C# language version 8 can be enabled by a project level setting. I will show where exactly that setting is located when I show the code. Okay, this is how you can get C# 8. Okay, so yeah, this is 2019 preview. You can download from visualstudio.microsoft.com. And also you have you can save time and installation by just trying the preview in Azure. So these are the two options. Okay, so now let us look at each feature that we looked in the very first slide, like what each feature in C# 8 is about, and let us try to understand what problem it's trying to resolve or what new benefit it's going to bring in. Okay, so one of the topmost feature in C# language version 8 is nullable reference type. Okay, so if you are an .NET developer, definitely you would have come across this error at least once, not once, multiple times, I would say, like, to be honest. System.null reference exception, object reference not set to an instance of an object. A very frequently noticed exception in any type of development, like in C# development, it's in a production environment or a development environment. This is a very frequent issue that a developer would have encountered. So this specific feature, nullable reference type, it's trying to resolve this one well-known issue. So before we see how it is trying to resolve and what it is trying to do, let us really understand why with a sophisticated language we are seeing this error. Why is there not a way other than C# language 8 to have a control on this kind of error, and why it occurs? Let us look at the bit of background to understand this issue, and then we will be able to look at this new feature and we'll be able to understand how this tries to resolve this issue. Okay, so basically let us look at what is this error, why it occurs, can't we avoid it, what is the current provision or a mechanism that we can do to avoid this error without C# language version 8 to handle this situation. Okay, so a bit of background is, we know that we have two types of two categories of data types, like a value type and reference type. So basically value types are by default not nullable, means like we cannot store a null in it, like I mean value types like simple primitives like integer, double, boolean and those kind of thing. But still we can store null in it, which is one of the feature introduced in C# 8, which is a nullable types, where with a special syntax we can express our intent that a particular value type or a primitive can store a null. For example, if you mention, like, if hope you would have already familiar with this one, int question mark denotes this is a nullable integer, means like we can store a null value to it. So this is one provision available to make our intent clear, to indicate that we want to store a null in the object. So let us look at the value type, reference type. Reference types are always allowed to store null. That means we can store null in it. So in fact, null is the default value for a reference type. And moreover, we know this reference type objects can be passed across different method. We can pass it to a different method across the call chain, and at some point an reference type can be dereferenced, means like it can be made to a null at some point, something like this. Employee object emp obj equal to new of employee object. This is an instance. When we pass this instance across several methods, when it goes to number of layers, at some point in time it can be made again as a null, and this object can be returned from that function as an, which is dereferenced as a null to some other method. And in that method, if we try to invoke a member of this object, then we will end up with this error. So it is, to be honest, it is very very difficult to handle this error, because there is no compile time check, and developers obviously miss to check the null, check the state of an object before an accessing object. There is no compile time, warning or error to indicate an object is null or holding a null value, or it will hold a null value. So all these things makes very difficult to handle the situation, even though C Sharp provides an excellent programming shortcuts to handle these kind of things. In fact, we don't need to explicitly use if else operator to check null. For example, if you want to check like if emp obj equal to null, we don't need to do that. We can use a simple question mark to shortcut syntax to check if this object is null, if not null. So with this syntax, we only this call method of this object will be called if this object is not null with the syntax. Even with this kind of provision, developer tend to make mistakes obviously. So all these things contributes to this system.null reference exception. Okay. Now C Sharp language 8 version is trying to address this thing, and yeah, so the solution in C Sharp 8 is null reference type. Okay, so in the next video, let us I will just walk through this feature on how to use this feature and how this makes our code to not have this kind of null reference here. It's look like a magic, but really interesting. Let us see it in action. Thanks for watching this video. We'll continue this in the next video. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.